Good morning, everyone. I hope you guys are doing amazing. I hope you guys had a beautiful weekend and a beautiful Monday as well. In the meantime, as people are joining up into the session, as you're sharing the links to your friends, to your colleagues, and anyone out there who was waiting for us, we are a little late by 7 minutes. So please kindly share that in the meantime, and then we get underway with it. So I'm going to give you a minute first to share, then I'll give you another minute for another small announcement, then we shall kick off from there. So share to our friends, share to your colleagues in the next 1 minute as we wait for some more guys to join up as well. Other than that, I hope you guys are doing great. I hope you guys, the markets are treating you guys well. If not, then I wish it's going to get better with time. Just keep pushing, follow the right things, manage your risks the right way. And yeah, basically that's it. So first and foremost, I'd like to remind you guys that if you don't have your FX Spacer account, you can use the link in description to create up your account, and you can start practicing on your demo as you put some of the information being taught to you across our different classes and sessions to practice as well. And if you're in Uganda, I would like to inform you guys that we do have a trading masterclass on the 30th of this month. So the link for registration is in the description. So if you're in Uganda, a quick 1 minute or two to quickly sign up for it. A few details, put them up, and then they will be sending you a reminder so that you don't miss out on that epic trading masterclass. So a quick minute or two for you if you're in Uganda. In the meantime, if you're in Tanzania, there's also a traders masterclass, a trade talk that you don't want to miss out. So you'd love to be a part of it as well. Kindly watch out for that as well. So with all that aside, I think we are going to kick off, and as usual, we do kick off with our forex calendar, and we tend to be looking at what or where the volatility in the market in the given day is most likely going to be. We'll be looking at where the volatility is going to be and whether we should stay in the market or stay out of the market. As you all know, our news can be very, very hectic. If you're not well prepared for it, it's most likely going to treat you badly. All right, so in just a second, I hope you guys are done registering. For those who are in Uganda, I hope you're done registering for our trading masterclass on the 30th. You'll be given a reminder so you can get underway. So in our forex calendar today, remember we tend to focus a lot on the red folder days because that's when the most volatility is seen in the market. And as you can see in today's title, we have the CAD CPI. That is going to be the main focus of the day. It's the biggest major event that we are going to be expecting some kind of high volatility in the markets. So you want to be watching out for that. It will be coming in at 3:30 p.m. and that is East African time. So you want to watch out for that, and that will be the New York session. We shall be 30 minutes in to our New York session. So yeah, we need to be a bit careful during that period of time, or in simple terms, you want to make sure that you've already managed your risks the right way. When the news come in, probably taken out some partials, or just sit out and watch the news play out, wait for the figures and see how that goes. As you all know, our CAD tends to affect the US oil a lot, and that's why in our heading today, we do have a major update on oil coming into today's market open, and we're going to be looking at that in a bit. So we shall also be looking at our oil chart later on. So that's a CAD CPI. So in the other hand, another major thing is that Trump began arrangements for meeting between Putin and Zelensky. So as much as this is about a trade talk, but in the financial markets, there is a take you want to be very careful on when it comes to negotiations between Trump and Putin, especially. As we all know that when the Ukraine-Russia war broke out, there were heavy sanctions that were put on Russia and even some partners of Russia. And one of Russia's biggest commodities is oil, right? So coming into the past few weeks, about 2-3 weeks ago, Trump did slap 25% tariffs on India because they buy a Russian oil and sell it. They buy it on black market and sell it. That means at affordable prices. So Trump slapped 25% tariffs on that. So if in one way or the other, because Trump has mentioned time and again that the talks they're having for peace will include a bit of trade talks, right? won't just be about peace, to be in exchange for business in simple terms. And Putin himself, when they were in Alaska, did mention that they are both good partners, especially business partners with Trump. So that means we may see some of these tariffs going off, some of the sanctions on Russian oil going off, which means when you look at the Russian oil sanctions being, if they are to be taken off, then the fact that OPEC has been able to start increasing their supply in the past few weeks or so, that means we can keep seeing a favorable oil price. That means oil will most likely keep getting cheaper up to a desired price as well. As you all know, Trump is a drill baby drill more oil, right? Pushes for drilling more and lower prices for oil to make it affordable for his people as well. So that's something you may want to watch out for in that side. So fundamentally, these are some of the big factors we are going to be looking at. Then on this other hand, we do have a speech. So let me just change this filter a bit. So very many times people tend to downplay these speeches here. We do have a speech coming in later in the day from Bowman. So he's one of the governors that's at the Fed. That's Bowman. Right now, what we'll be wanting to listen from Bowman is it sounding a bit hawkish or dovish in regards to September FOMC? Why? Because we have seen the Fed face a lot of pressure for not cutting interest rates in the previous FOMC meeting. And as a result, we did see one of the governors step down. And then, of course, right now we also want to be seeing, is the Fed now going to eventually yield to the pressure coming in now, not only from Trump, but from Wall Street as well. They also want lower interest rates because apparently Trump happens to have played most of his cards with the trade deals, right? And right now all he needs are lower interest rates. And that's what Wall Street and the investors in the US also are calling for right now. So they happen to be aligning with that as we speak. So that's one of the things we want to be watching out for when Bowman is speaking. Is this sounding hawkish or dovish? Is this pushing towards cutting more rates is it looking towards cutting the interest rates, or they are going to hold them steady in the name of waiting for better data to come out? So having looked at that, we're now going to dive on to our technical analysis. So I'm going to just get my chart in a minute. Just give me a second. I get my chart out there. Then we can kick off from there over. So let me just have this share. From this screen. Okay. So in the meantime, if you have any questions that you would like to put across, something you'd like us to look at during our session, you can feel free to put it in the comment section. Then towards the end of the session, we shall be able to answer them. I'll try my best to be able to answer them as well to see how best you can go. So let's get down onto our technical analysis and see what the market is looking like today. All right, so push this to the left. So this is some of our analysis from last week that we did see. You can see there were very nice, pretty moves in the market. So let's just, as usual, come back down to our dollar index as we began, as we usually begin from, right? So dollar index basically shows you how that dollar looks like in that given day. And this was analysis from last time, as we spoke about. So we did know price was pushing a bit lower, but we had two demand levels. We had one we had refined in around here, then one at the bottom here. Now remember, we said that when price gets into one of these demand levels, you want to be looking for confirmation. And as for those who are watching the market, we did see price come with high momentum into the first demand level and failed to give us a proper confirmation. Then on the second demand level, it tapped onto it and then gave a confirmation to give us some bullish moves to the upside from last week's price action. So you could see price taps onto this on a lower time frame. It gives you some confirmations to push up from the second demand level. So I hope some of you guys took advantage of that. And I think in about 2 weeks ago, I did give you some confirmation patterns that you could have used to look for those kinds of bullish moves. So you could see a nice shift pattern here, a retracement to the demand level here that later pushed price to the upside. So this is why confirmations are very crucial. So price comes, taps onto our demand level. Then it gives us a nice shift pattern from here. Then we get a nice retracement onto our lower time frame. Demand that later pushed price all the way to the upside. So this was the lower time frame demand we had. You can see a nice bullish engulfing that later pushed price to the upside after that nice confirmation. So this is something you can always look out for. Very nice and easy confirmation pattern and all that. So now let's look at today's outlook on on the dollar index. Then we shall move from there onto our currency pairs. And so remember, we use this to gauge a lot on some of the currency pairs, especially those with a dollar. We usually like starting from the dollar index to give us a better outlook as well. So let me just get rid of this, and we see that. So we did see price coming into this zone and giving us those buys. Now you're going to realize that when price was coming up, when price was coming down over here, it did give us a break of structure to this area over here, right? We had this nice breakout. So personally, I love having my breakouts confirmed by a candlestick closure that we had nicely. So whenever I have a breakout, you can anticipate a small retracement and probably a possibility to push lower or even to push higher. So now from here, this would have been a supply level that you would have wanted to look for some selling opportunities, and you can see price is trying to factor them. But I think sentimentally, I would want to see a stronger dollar, though there is a possibility of price pushing lower. So let's look at what I would look at in terms of intraday analysis. Yesterday we had a bullish day, so we're going to use a daily bias because this area, sentimental, I don't think it's going to hold. I believe price is still going to push higher. There is a possibility of it coming to consume the whole of this area here, all the way here. That possibility is there, but you don't need just to outrule it as well. But you want to have conditions that could possibly lead to that. So let's look at this breakout here and first treat it the way it is. When I go to the 4-hour time frame, I want to look at the zones price left for me. So price did leave some kind of demand zone. So this kind of demand zone here, but price later came and used it, but failed to create new higher highs, right? Then it leaves me a second demand zone. Now, this is a 4-hour time frame. These demand zones are areas of interest. That means price can come to them. Then you can look for a confirmation, right? So now, beyond this, I think price, if it goes below this point, will go all the way down. Then if I look at this price action on this hand side, on this left-hand side, I think I've mentioned about the QM level multiple times. The QM level will be my last resort to try and look for confirmations. I also use a QM as an area of interest. So this will be my last resort outlook in case price goes below that zone over there. So we do have a demand in between, but I just don't feel like I'm comfortable with this demand because price happened to consume almost 50% of the whole demand zone. So this was the whole demand zone. Didn't quite get to 50%. I don't have a bullish engulfing here. So this can be an area you can just watch out for, but I'm not comfortable using that. I would like to have a much more clear zone or a different kind of area of interest like a QM level. So personally, this will be my most eminent area of interest I would want to watch for in case price fails to hold price from here. So remember these areas, you're going to look for lower time frame confirmations entirely. So that means I'll be dropping down to, if it's a 4-hour, probably to a 30-15 minutes and look for that shift pattern that may push bullish at the same time. So in terms of just some selling reactions that may come in during the day, if price happens to buy within this area or give you that bullish confirmation, you'll definitely be targeting this supply zone, being a nice engulfing bearish candlestick. It has no imbalance, but does have a breakout below these zones here. That means you can expect some reaction or even some selling move from that point. So it can be some area intraday perspective where you can look for some good selling opportunities as well. So that's one you'd want to watch out for as well. That's something we want to look into deeply. But I still feel like the dollar index is bracing itself for a bullish recovery generally. That's why I'm focusing on looking for areas that may support my buying conditions at the current moment. I still believe in this imbalance up this side, and I believe price will eventually come to fill it up, then definitely probably push all the way to the upside based on the outlook of the fundamentals and the space on that side with the trade deals. And right now we have the Russia-Ukraine thing. Just so you know, Ukraine did agree if a peace deal has been able to be signed, they will be willing to buy up to $90 billion worth of American military equipment, which is a plus for, of course, the US being the orchestrator of those peace talks as well. So I've looked at the dollar index, and this is the outlook we are looking at. We're going to look at a few currency pairs on this other hand that we can look into to try and get opportunities. So similar to what's on the DXY, here we did see price gravitate towards the supply level. Didn't quite get into it, but what it did do, it gave us a nice shift from here and push to the downside. Remember, we aligned this with the DXY. So in the DXY, I did the same but bullish win. You're able to come to this and know that they are aligning perfectly. So here, it did give us a supply level after a confirmation around this zone here that it later used to push a bit lower. And right now, it's still trying to push from that zone as well. So looking at my Euro USD, I'm going to use it from the 4-hour time frame. So, all right, so from Euro USD, we still do have an extreme level above here, but this is an extreme level. It's an area you can still be able to look out for because it's still very fresh. It's also a QM pattern. It's also still fresh. It's an area you'd want to watch out for as well. But then you're going to first take the elephant out of the room because this is the 4-hour time frame. You would still want to watch this supply level. Why are you going to watch it? It does give you a nice imbalance, not quite a good breakout within it. But when you go to a line chart, you're able to see something. You see this? There is this small kind of kink that shows that there's some kind of internal breakout within that zone. So it's an area you're going to watch as an area of interest. That means price gets to it, you go down to a lower time frame, and then definitely look for a confirmation. Confirmations are very, very important. I know sometimes with the markets are being patient is so hard. Trust me, waiting for a trade and that discipline is so hard. It takes time. You're going to be waiting for your trade, and then someone is posting blue screens, someone is posting a cash out whatsoever, and then it puts pressure on you, and you're like, let me look for a trade, but it's not aligned to the rules that you set down on your trading plan or to what you want to look at particularly. So that becomes very hectic. But then that's what makes you a trader. That's what makes you profitable at the end of the day. The fact that I have a trade plan, I have this zone, and until price gets to that zone, I won't look for, or I won't think of pressing a buy or sell or even looking for a confirmation. That's what makes a trader unique, and that's how you tend to get to the profitability stage. So if you have a zone, for example, when I have my supply zones, I have this supply zone, this supply zone. Trust me, I'll wait for price to get to them, and I'll follow my criteria. If price is not into them, I have no business looking for a buying or selling opportunity out of those zones. So just in case price gets to that level there, I want to look below what would be your possible targets. So yeah, we're going to have about 3 possible targets. I still have this demand level as a nice good target, particularly because I think it meets all the criteria I need for a supplier for a demand level. I have a nice bullish engulfing. I have a nice breakout over here. This imbalance has been partially filled, which is still okay. But then I'm seeing that price is giving what they call a correction move to the upside. You're going to see this kind of price action that price is using towards the extreme supply level up here. That's why it's my best possible area to sell from, because you see price is giving you a nice correction move to the upside. And remember, when this pair actually now gets here and starts selling, that means the DXY will actually start buying. And so I told you I'm anticipating a bullish recovery on the dollar index. This is particularly why this kind of price action is very good price action in terms of market structure. We have a correction move. This was our nice impulse to the downside. Now we're having this very beautiful correction leading up to this supply level here, and this is a QM level just within it, which is a probably like a double confirmation. So this is something you'd want to look at. This supply level, you can watch out to it probably for the best possibilities intraday trades. But then the best possibility will be price getting to this level here and pushing to the downside. This would be a nice target. You can expect some reactions because it is a valid demand level as well. It tends to give us some kind of reactions just in case it confirms some buying opportunities for intraday when price gets to that. Could be today, could be tomorrow. That's all quite okay. The game is patience at the end of the day, right? So this would be very nice levels to wait for price to get to. So for guys who are familiar a bit with ICT and smart money, and some people do the market maker models, you're going to realize that when price gets to this zone or that supply level above there, price will have something like this, right? Some people call this an inducement or buy side liquidity probably. Other people will have this straight line liquidity, right? So all those concepts will still tend to align with a structure. This is an intraday zone, so you want to be careful. Let me just mark it out as an intraday zone. Intraday zone means you can look for some low time frame selling opportunities, but then entirely off confirmation, guys. That's very, very crucial. Off confirmation is very, very crucial. Intraday zone. Then here we can have the best possible. I'm going to just best supply area. Or let me just put a supply level in focus. So usually one of the tricks you can use with refining the best possibility of supply levels is that personally I love swinging trades a lot. So usually when I have a best supply level in focus, when price gets to it, I'll minimize my risk well and good. But then I'm going to have more confidence to hold that trade if I get a confirmation, because I know it's pushing for a higher time frame move usually. When you look at your daily, you're able to see this impulse breakout and now this correction move to a supply level, push to a lower. to push lower and form probably lower lows. So that's an outlook we have on Euro USD. Then let's look at GBP USD as well and see what's going on. So yeah, we had a nice one as well. Price came to this S1. Now on this side, it tried to respect our S1. So you find that these first levels here are usually our intraday opportunities. And I think I did mention this also last time in our session. These are nice intraday opportunities. So then you can look at how price was able to give some kind of buys within that. Would have been had to get some kind of sales within this. Would have been had to get a confirmation. You probably had to use like a 15. So with intraday opportunities, you want to look at 15 5-minute. Always good for confirmations. In fact, always very good for confirmations. So unfortunately, this didn't give us a nice confirmation for those sales. It wouldn't have been a trade you would take out. But when price gets to supply 2, don't mind this. Remember, you're waiting for a confirmation. So price slightly going above or slightly below your areas is quite not a problem, because you basically are looking out for confirmations. When I look at this, price comes and gives us do have a nice shift around here. Let's look at the high. This area comes right there and shift below it, but later on, this the high price formed within that zone. Then now it comes and gives us a nice shift right below here, and then you're going to realize that there's a supply level responsible for this breakout. There's a supply level responsible. Let me remove my auto scroll. There is a supply level responsible for that particular breakout, and that becomes your area of interest. As you can see, this was our selling area of interest for our GBP USD, and then you have a very nice, beautiful trade pushing all the way to the downside. Definitely a low risk trade, about 9 pips for almost 84 pips. So that's like a 1-to-9 risk to reward ratio. That's not something you'd want to miss out on, but you realize the game behind that's all just patience, right? It's all just patience. That was something very nice to look at. So we did review this as well. So that's what price did based on our analysis from last Tuesday. Give us a nice selling opportunity from that S2. You would have been able to swap up to a 1-to-9 risk to reward ratio. I don't know anyone who wouldn't love that. Anyone would love that in terms of ROI. So let's look at today's outlook. Let's still use from the 4-hour as well. You realize that GBP USD, just like last week, GBP USD gives us a very beautiful structure. For some reason, the pound is really giving us beautiful structures. So here you can see that price was pushing to the upside, and from here it's attempting to give us a shift to the downside in alignment with the dollar index and of course still Euro USD. But then here on the 4-hour, I have a much more clear breakout to the upside, to the downside, sorry, and price is attempting to form some kind of downtrend. So we do have an origin, first touch, then now you can anticipate a third touch. Remember, this third touch price can even wick above it slightly. What matters more is that when price gets to this area, you're able to confluence. Now, when I'm coming around to confluence, what areas do I see above here that price could definitely want to gravitate to? Like this should now be obvious by now. We do have a nice engulfing pattern there, which is a supply. We have a small breakout from here, very beautiful. So these are areas I would want to watch out for. It's the only supply level I have from here, unfortunately. What I would have as my extreme supply level would be this on this other hand, which is quite a mile away, but something you still want to look at. Remember, I told you there are the ICT concepts and smart money concepts, whereby they speak of liquidity concepts, and we can look at these kinds of relatively equal highs, or we can have them as a supplier, as an inducement as well. These are some of the things we learn from ICT and smart money concepts generally. Inducements are buy side liquidity. You're going to realize that now its analysis is similar to Euro USD, but they're exactly opposite to the dollar index. And as I've mentioned time and again, there is an inverse correlation between these kinds of pairs. So that's as far as our GBP USD is concerned. We shall still be looking at this supply level here. We can have a nice confluence with it on a trend line just in case, but then you also have an extreme supply level over here that happens to have an inducement right below it. And this also always gives us very high probability areas. When you have an inducement, you see your supply level has an imbalance, it has a breakout, but then price induces before you. That means when price gets to this area, you're able to probably have a much more confidence in that zone. You wait just for a confirmation. Very important. I can't say less about the confirmation. It's very, very, very crucial. Very, very important. So on the other hand, yeah, that's something you want to look out for. So I think now we are going to look at the ZAO USD or gold that people love to trade a lot. We're going to look at gold and see what gold outlook we have as well. So in the meantime, if you have any questions, we're going to look at them in the last segment of today's session after we have looked at a few more pairs. then we shall see how we can get them answered, and then we can see how we can get into the market. So now this was analysis from gold. Very, very beautiful analysis. We happen to see a breakout as we anticipated, a retracement, then a push to this area here. Remember, we had spoken about the supply, a failed supply demand level, and so was the zone we had in mind. Then we had an extreme zone as well. So price able to come around. This was our whole failed at demand level, as you can mark it out there. It was a failed supply, right? So I mentioned these are called flip zones. So price comes to it and breaks above it with high momentum. It becomes a supply to demand flip. In simple terms, some also call it an SNR flip, because these areas usually are going to act as support and resistance levels as well. But I prefer using a supply and demand because of their logical importance. So you see price breaks out, can give us a breakout, push into this level, then push to the upside to give a few multiple opportunities from here. So you can be able to see if there are some nice confirmations within those areas. So you can always go back and watch how price plays out. You see what zones or what patterns price formed before it actually gives opportunities. Then you can easily be able to learn confirmations. That's something we call back testing. You're going back to see how price played out in a major zone and how you'd have been able to capitalize on it. So you're going to realize that this buy initially didn't quite have a nice confirmation. Price comes, taps in the zone, and just buys to the upside. This on a 15-minute time frame. So what you would need for a confirmation to be there would be a shift, then now a retracement back into your zone. So price later gives you what demand level was there before the shift. We only have one demand level that does price respect it. Yes, price later comes and respects those zones there. So you can have this. Let me just mark it out this way. Another thing you can always use is just a Fibonacci tool. If you're good at using it, that's very, very easy for you. As I've mentioned, I use mine in a retracement kind of way. So when price comes and gives me a breakout from this zone, we're able to see that's the high price formed. So I'll be looking for opportunities within my 62 and 79 level. And when you watch carefully, we have a QM level within the 62 and 79 level. That gives me a nice confirmation from there. I had a QM level there. So price came to it and gave me some intraday buying opportunities without not so bad risk to reward ratio. This is a 15-minute time frame. So you can see price comes in and pushes slightly to that upside, and you're able to see some kind of nice risk to reward. So this is about 170 pips, then to about you're risking about these 18 pips, about 13 pips for 170 pips. Nice risk to reward, but that was just a confirmation trade as well. So we had that kind of play out. Then price still came back into the same zone and still gave some more opportunities because the zone was still not like 50% consumed or utilized, or some point use mitigated. So able to see that price comes back into the zone, gives you a shift from here, and then it retraces back. This would have been, I think, from yesterday to the morning. Price comes, gives you a shift from here, goes up, then retraces back. So I think you guys are seeing the importance of patience. Price still comes back and gives you some nice opportunities. And usually you're going to find a good risk to reward of confirmation. So this is about 120 pips, and you're risking about 24 pips. So that's about a 1 to 5 risk to reward. Very, very nice and beautiful. These are things you can always be able to do time and again, just as long as you're patient. As long as you are patient enough with the market and you're following what price does. Sometimes a price will come to an area of interest, then you see price spiking out. Then now you're running, you're chasing the market, Later, when price now retraces back to give you the actual trade, your account can't withstand the drawdown or something of the kind, and before you know it, you're whisked away. So now let's look at this as well on a larger time frame. So we had a very volatile day yesterday. Our price didn't give us a proper breakout below this, but yesterday tried to retrace and take out all the supply levels in between here. And there we see price now trying to push the upside. So we are seeing there's a lot of buying momentum coming in right from this failed supply level. So everybody says the supply level and price breaks out once again with high momentum, as we had mentioned. So in case of we expect some retracement to the upside, you can definitely be wanting to look at 1 hour confirmation that you can currently see is trying to play out, but as also know that the dollar is trying to gain some strength. It may not be so effective, but then you also have a breakout right at this level here. So we are seeing some kind of confirmation coming in, but then I don't think this will be will be in for long, because I see that the bears are most likely going to take over this as well, unless otherwise. But then I'm also seeing a QM level right over here. When I look at this price action, it means on lower time frames, all the supply levels within this zone have most definitely been washed out or taken out. So when I refine this a little bit lower, I'm going to have that QM level and try to align something around it. When I watch this level carefully, I have a supply level on my lower time frame. I do have a supply level right over here. It gives me a small internal breakout here, as you can see. Small internal breakout. We have a small imbalance there. It goes to the downside. Price already came and mitigated this supply level here. So this supply level remains to work as either an inducement or buy side liquidity that we actually need to have a high probability area. Meanwhile, intraday, our opportunities, remember, we always have alternatives on how price could possibly move. I still do have a demand level that is right over here that price could still go to. So my best preference would be price coming all the way to the supply level. Then I can look for some confirmations, probably to push price lower. Alternatively, price could decide to use this current supply level that it's trying to respect. Could alternatively use this to this area here, give us some nice buys into this extreme supply before it eventually drops to the side. This would be something I really want to see happening in the market. Remember, these zones, you're going to be looking for confirmations. Once price gets to the zones, you won't just want to be all over those zones and jumping into them. This is the outlook that we will be having on gold, or that I'm looking at personally on gold. Why? Because above here, I'm seeing all these levels, price just wicks into them, tries to take them out as well before it in turn pushes to the downside. So this is my outlook on ZAR USD or gold. So now let's drift a bit onto a bit of the Japanese yen. I think we did see it drop a bit lower through that day, which is a bit tricky. So if you see a nice breakout to the upside, instead price broke down, gave us a retracement and pushed to the downside, which is also not so bad. We had this demand level pushing out as well. So wanted price to either break above and do this or break below and push towards this area here. And we did see the Japanese yen not getting as strong as we anticipated last week, which is quite okay. So let's look at what it's going to offer us today, which is USD JPY. So let's see. Let's pick it all the way from the daily. So you realize that the Japanese index did have a bit of consolidation like this. So personally, these are areas I like looking for trades within, because it's hard to determine where exactly price would definitely be pushing to. Others, what I would tend to do, I'll be looking at higher time frame areas. For example, this daily demand that is very fresh. Then I'm going to look above this side. Do I have any possible nice targets to push price to? So yes, we have a supply level right over here, but I'd so like so we can be able to refine it to a 4-hour time frame as well. So when I refine this to a 4-hour time frame, I love using QM levels, so I can always see a QM level right around that, because I'm not seeing any clear supply or clear bearish engulfing pattern. I'm not seeing a demand level. I'm seeing a whole general demand zone, which you just can't be able to trade that way. So you can be able to refine these levels. So demand over there, then you have a QM level right over there. So looking at the intermediate price action right now, we see we do have a zone here that can give us some bearish reaction, but the best possibility would be seeing price come to this area and probably give you some selling opportunities, or come to this area, then you get some buying opportunities. So you just need to know what conditions price has to meet in order to come to the downside. We can see we have some kind of a trend line if you're able to see this clearly. So a break below this area would basically mean price going to push towards this demand level. Then to the upside, it will just be a violation of the supply level. That means price will push to the upside as well into that supply zone we have up over there. And when price gets to these zones, you want to be looking in for confirmations as well, because those are just generally areas of interest where you'd be looking to take some decisions as well. All right, so okay, so let's move a bit on to let's look at GBP JPY. Then we shall move, I think, to Bitcoin after. We shall look, I think, we'll look at NASDAQ as well. Yeah, we have to look at NASDAQ as well. So this GBP JPY, as I said, we didn't get the strength in the Japanese index as we expected. But on this side, we did have a demand zone that did give us some nice price action last week. should have been somewhere around Wednesday. So you can see that price did push to the downside onto our demand zone beautifully. We didn't get a proper closure above this, but price did give us a nice retracement to this demand zone here, and then give us some nice opportunities to the upside as well. All right, so that's what we had from there. And now price having difficulty either breaking out or giving us a retracement to the downside. So let's look at what conditions price would want to do. So if you see a move to the upside, we are going to want to be watching out for. Still, we shall have a breakout above these zones. Then we can now anticipate some buys from there onwards. This price has a very beautiful range above that can be able to go into. We were expecting some nice strength on the Japanese yen. Basically, after I think 3 weeks ago, when Trump did mention or did sign the trade deal with Japan, but unfortunately, he hasn't yet been able to reflect on some currency pairs like GBP JPY, because of course, as we all know, Great Britain was one of the first countries to sign a major deal with the US, so they're also still pretty strong as well. But we did see this buys coming, so we'd like to see a breakout of this area, retest, and probably a push to the upside. That's something we want to watch out for. So of course, when price breaks out, you expect a retracement to a demand zone. Then you can consequently be able to push from there onwards to the upside. All right, so that would be something we want to watch out for on that side on GBP JPY. Let's look at our NASDAQ a little bit. So this was our outlook on NASDAQ. Price didn't quite get to our demand level. It did quite respect the fair value gap, which is quite okay. Too strong. So this was our outlook that we did have last time. Price did give us a breakout from here. So we anticipate a nice retracement to this zone and a push to the upside. Unfortunately, price didn't get quite well into our zone. What it in turn did, so you know that price will do this sometimes to create a new breakout, then retrace into that demand zone that's formed around there. So this happens as well because we're in the same time frame. So price can form a new structure within the same time frame and respect that as structure as well. Then after that, we had this very big demand zone. It's actually quite huge. It's quite huge. So you realize that price gave you a breakout, high momentum breakout, giving you an impulsive move. And now it's giving us that kind of correction move into this zone where it can now look to probably look for some buys. We can try to refine this zone. Let me see where I shall come to. Our breakout comes from this zone over here. So it's a zone where that's why you start looking for your confirmations. We can see price already trying to give us some nice confirmations, but we haven't had quite a nice breakout. We had this over here that is currently up, giving us this push to the upside. And after the breakout, price will retrace to a demand level rate after a breakout. So if that breakout occurs over there, because this highs, this is actually the lowest point. These highs are responsible for that breakout. It's the lowest point. This is the high responsible for it still, yes. So if this are breakout, a retracement to the extreme demand level, or even to the Fibonacci levels, but this is the extreme demand level, and you can see some price pushing to the upside. So you want to see if price can be able to use that to try and break above these areas over here. You can see we have a trend line coming in from up this side. So you should be very careful with these trend lines because sometimes they actually happen to be very, very strong. When they come from far, like as far as this can be a very strong trend line. So realize we want a nice break above this area, then retrace, then a push to the upside. I'm still positive on this as far as NASDAQ is concerned. Most definitely for throughout September. As you all know, Apple will be launching their new iPhone 17 and a list of things that are going to be centered around artificial intelligence. And you might have seen headlines by now telling you that artificial intelligence is Apple's biggest focus this year. Last year, yes, it was. They disappointed, but this year, probably people believe they are ready. So that will give us a very major boost in AI that contributes a lot to definitely to NASDAQ. Still, if Ukraine signs a military deal, military tech is very expensive, brings in very good money to the US. We saw that happening during the Iran-Israel conflict because of the kind of military-grade weapons that were being used. That means people are buying more military tech, and we saw NASDAQ just give us new all-time highs out of the blue during a war or a crisis. That was very, very tricky. So this as far as NASDAQ is concerned. So in the meantime, I'm going to look at some of your questions as we are winding up the session for today morning. So I'll just look at a few questions and we'll see what we can get into. So I'd like to remind you guys that on the 30th of this month, we do have a trading masterclass here in Kampala at the Bani Center. So quick 1-2 minutes. The link is in the description for everyone in Uganda. Click it and sign up for the masterclass. Trust me, you don't want to miss it out. There's going to be a lot of insights from different people and a lot of techniques being shared. But now you can simplify your trading and definitely use it effectively in terms of risk and sustainability. Trust me, it will be amazing. So don't forget to sign up. The link is in the description. Quick 1-2 minutes for you to do that. Then you can get into the questions and see how the market plays out as well. So, all right, let me just look at the questions as the other people are signing up. What's your outlook on BTC USD? Bitcoin, all right, here. This is Bitcoin. There's a lot of activity, right? A lot of activity. So I don't know when last did analysis on Bitcoin, but you can see that we did have some analysis coming in from some time back. We did have a demand level that price has been able eventually to come back into. Here we had a breakout, a retracement, a push to the upside. Yeah, I think so far it has been moving so well. So let's have a look at what Bitcoin can be able to offer us moving forward, what its outlook is. Let me get rid of this. So coming in from a daily time frame. Wow. Okay, price came, give us this nice breakout over here. Not a breakout, give us a sweep above this high here. Then give us a deep retracement. We did see still two demand levels. I believe this first demand level gave us some opportunities. I think sometime early last week. But then price retraced slightly and pushed to the downside onto the next demand level. So right now we are currently at this demand level here. And then I'm going to be focusing also on the supply level right over here, because the supply level responsible for this breakout. So these are the two areas in immediate focus I'm going to look at. Then right below this, we have another demand level. Now you're going to see why I tend to mark this one out, because right now we are seeing a lot of bearish momentum. And we all know that when Bitcoin starts retracing, some people think it's dumping, but just a retracement. It's a possibility of it coming all the way down here. But in the meantime, let's look at this zone. Coming to the 4-hour time frame, we do have a nice demand level here that price is respecting beautifully. The price respected the first time, then came to the upside. So below this, we have this other extreme level. So we have this nice. Yeah, I'll focus more on this because this one has been used the first time. So the idea would be price to come into this zone, probably give us those nice equal lows over here, relatively equal lows. But we have seen a sweep above them, so price can just use that because this is a whole demand level. The weekend goes from here, right? So yeah, we can now see if there's any confirmation coming into that. I would love to see Bitcoin buy to this supply zone here that we just saw above there on the daily time frame. It would be very nice to see Bitcoin buy into this supply zone. We can be able to refine the supply zone. Let me see. What's the best possible area? This is the best possible area we could have. Could we have a trend line that could give us a perfect confluence? Note that level, because price begins from pretty way up. There, no. We cannot have a trend line on this. But what we can have is we can have supply levels, a 30-minute time frame. So if price happens to shift above this, we can expect some good buying opportunities on BTC. I would love to see them come all the way to that supply zone. If I look for some kind of selling opportunities, remember Bitcoin is all-time bullish, so it can give us a retracement either to this level and then push a bit higher. That's a long shot, but then the most immediate thing you want to look at is probably price to come in, push to this area, then buy, because we have a nice inducement below here. But that's not a must. So price can push below to this area, then buy, or it could still buy all the way to the supply level. Why I'd focus on this supply level is because this one here, price did kind of use it. This one here is a bit fresh. I just don't feel comfortable with it. Engulf beautifully. It's not an area I would want to consider personally, but it does have a breakout. Then it engulfs beautifully, does have a breakout. So price could still do that as well. So this is what we'd look at on Bitcoin. Those are the areas of interest to watch out. We have this supply level and this demand level below. In order for price to get to this demand, to this supply level, you'd want to see a breakout of that high, possibly a breakout of this forming trend line. You don't see a breakout on this forming trend line as well, then probably a push to this supply level. Alternatively, you could see a push to this area, this supply level, then a push to this demand level. Then you can look for any buying opportunities to push to the supply level up here. So these are the outlooks I would want to look at on Bitcoin based on the structure it's giving me right now. So these are the two areas we're focusing on. So you realize the supply level has some kind of like QM pattern or head and shoulder area right around here. This would be your left shoulder head, break to the downside. So you realize that area in between still acts as an inducement or a buy side liquidity. So it's a nice concept from smart money concept, and actually it is effective when you know how to use it. So we could have this as our QM level. Then this level would be your kind of inducement. And then price would definitely use those to give you some buying opportunities. Probably that area there, then a push to the downside. This would be very nice to see. Remember, these are areas of interest, so you'd want to base all your entries upon confirmation. And of course, your target would definitely be this demand level right over here. That would be very nice to watch out for. That's my outlook on a BTC USD generally. So I'm just going to be watching that on the 4-hour time frame. All right, so that's from eccentric immersive, or it's a complicated name. So let me see some more questions here, about one or two. Then you can call it a day. On stocks, do you feel competition between AMD and Nvidia? Yeah, I do feel there's going to be competition between AMD and Nvidia. The competition is going to be there, but it's not going to be very, very intense. Why is it going to be like that? Because right now the chip makers have a lot of how would I say, there's a lot of demand for them. So for now, feeling the competition is a bit hard, but the competition is definitely going to be there. Entirely basically on that products in AI particularly, that's going to be where the main focus will be. Which AI providers are using on what chips and what are they solving? That's where the difference will come in. So if you find an AI that's being used more day-to-day work, and they're using a particular chip to probably manufacture it, that's the one that will probably give you the biggest, that will have an upper hand in simple terms. So Nvidia has had the biggest market share because we are seeing AI adaptation a lot from Asian countries. If you've seen those videos of tech in Asia, particularly South Korea, China, Japan, their adaptation to AI is very, very great. Of course, the US is good, but then they also rely on Nvidia chips. AMD just has monopoly companies they work with, traditional companies that they have been working with, but they will need to really get some good partners to work with. The competition is going to be there, but in the markets, it won't be very effective until we see when the supply is not matching up to the demand, or when some companies start going towards one a chip maker. But for now, the market share is still fair for both of them. They both have a good market share. But of course, Nvidia has the upper hand. I'll be honest on that. Nvidia has the upper hand. AMD is just traditional to the US. Okay, so I think one more question, and you can call it a morning. Are podcasts held daily? The podcasts, by podcasts, no, the podcasts I think come out I think every 2 weeks or weekly basis, but not held daily. But you can just watch. We have enough podcasts for you guys to watch out on. So yeah, you can be able to watch those podcasts as well. But we do have the market snapshot daily at 11 a.m. This market snapshot, this one that we're having right now. The podcast more episodes will be coming. Just watch out for them. You can turn your notification buzz on as well. So besides that, I would like to remind you guys, don't forget to sign up for the trading masterclass in Uganda and the trade talk in Tanzania, and don't forget to open your FXPesa account today with the links in the description. So until next time, peace and love everyone, and I wish you a profitable week as well. So we meet on the next edition, on the next session. Cheers.